the links for Odysee, BitChute. You can join the channel, and if you're one of the first to join the channel, then you will have become one of the first to join the channel. There used to be shows on YouTube that were investigations into, like, if a famous actor was actually the opposite sex, but I suspect that YouTube has gotten rid of those channels. Slowly, YouTube has been deleting everything cool because the free thinking stuff the puppet masters deem wrongthink. One of these days, they're going to come for Comicsgate, and hopefully that by that time, Odysee or BitChute will be running smoothly. Odysee is pretty well there, so... but YouTube is smart. They don't kick off everyone at once, because if they do it person by person, so there never is a big exodus to the alternative platform. For example, if they kicked off one of the big Comicsgate guys, what would he do? He'd be pretty well screwed. It's just something to consider. I know everyone by now has their Odysee backups in place. Anyway, so slow news day news. What if Teela was transtastic this whole time? That would make a lot of sense. Like, plot twist, I'm actually a dude, which would explain the insane amount of muscles. Except I guess it wouldn't explain why all the chicks have insane amount of muscles. So what happened was the Twitterites, when they weren't saying that there should be prawn for kids, if you don't believe me, go see Flora Gill. Just duck search that. When they're not doing that little bit of reprehensible degeneracy, they're saying that Teela was based on Gal Gadot, because Gal is an example of a fit chick who kicks butt. So all the soy people, I just love the short hair and the muscles. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure this is... No, you don't. You're just lying. Like, why do you... Don't lie to us, but don't lie to yourself. So they jumped on board, but then the evil Germans from the 1930s hopped in the TARDIS to hop in the comments and mention that Gal is actually more of a twig person. I guess Gal is about 5'10" and probably, very low body fat. At least when she was in Wonder Woman. She also wasn't what you'd call muscular. She was more of the opposite of muscular. She was never a fitness chick, though I'm sure she's very, very fit. She was a model. That's a whole different thing. She had to gain muscle for Wonder Woman, and even though she gained muscle, she still looked like a twig. It's just that she was, in Wonder Woman, she was probably 140-pound twig instead of like 120-pound model twig. Like, you think Hollywood actors are lean, and they are. If you ever see them in person or sit down to talk to a bunch of them, it's like you will notice how lean they are, and then how fat you are. Even if you think you're in shape, you start realizing, like, whoa, these people are really in shape. So then there's one step beyond Hollywood actor. That's the model. That is a whole... That's like you take the actor who's already cheekbones, jawlines just shredded, and you drop 5 more pounds of fat. That's what a model is. Anyway, so the right-wing Chads, time-traveling Chads, pointed out that Teela actually kind of looks more like a male wrestler, while Gal Gadot and the original characters actually look like biological women. But then the soy boys told the Chads to touch grass. All I have are weeds because I'm in California. My backyard is atrocious. I don't know how the weeds grow. The backyard doesn't get any water whatsoever. And weeds still grow, so I don't know where they're getting it from. So touching grass doesn't help. I hate when they say, like, anytime you see a phrase and you see it and it sticks in your head, it's like, okay, by that time it's already trite, hackneyed, or overused. Don't use it. Teela still looks kind of disgusting to most of the people. And then people started to point out that all 3 women were more muscular than normal women. Why would a sorceress be muscular? That just doesn't make sense. It makes it seem like there's some kind of weird fetish going on in the mind of Kevin Smith. Or maybe he just wanted to trigger people. Who knows? They all look gross. And even her sidekick, who is the quote-unquote brains of the operation, because that's how liberals treat purse puppies. The greater the tan, the greater the brain power. Demonetized. So all 3 chicks were totally jacked. Plus, you see that they had to make Teela as ugly as possible, so they gave her the shaved side of the head, which is so cliche. Even Disney's High Republic does it. If Disney is doing it, it has jumped the shark. They do it because it's a shortcut to explaining the character. She's a rough, tough rebel who needs no man. She's totally punk rock. You're better off establishing your characters by having them do cool things. Shortcuts don't work. It's all shallow flashiness. Even kids quickly tune into it. Here's the problem. If you're an artist, a producer, a set designer, whoever is responsible for all this kind of stuff, you're not actually immersed in the culture of animation and comics, not as much as people think. I'm probably reading more comics per week than Kevin Smith, and I unfortunately am sober. And the people who are writing He-Man are reading comics, or people who are watching are reading comics and watching anime and the superhero genre probably more in general than the people who are making this stuff. So the consumer, because I don't know how many people who are not into that animation are going to watch a cartoon. Most adults are probably going to skip right over that. Even adults in their 40s and 50s who are familiar with the cartoon, it's like, in your 40s and 50s, you want to go back and watch a cartoon unless you're already into it. Most people are going to just go like, I'm not really into it. So the consumer are usually more up to date or have a higher genre IQ than the creators. You see the creators doing all kinds of stupid things that make the dork fans of the show just roll their eyes. The creators think they're original, but the viewers have seen the cliches dozens of times before because, like I said, they're immersed in the genre. Stick with the classics because you're not a master. There are good, positive story structures based off of classical tales. Then there is the modern garbage. No, my powdered, nasal, inhaling producer friend, you and your buds are not modern Shakespeares. That is the marching powder talking. There are no modern classics. These are just purse puppies. Oh, but the caged bird. The best I can say is time will tell for those kind of stories. Use classic time-tested structure. It works for a reason. It has been polished 1,000 times. Learn to master the music as written before you improvise. What you see in modern storytelling is people without the skill of a master trying to subvert expectations like a master, which is why you see a lot of failed stories. Why didn't women go see Charlie's Angels, Terminator, Ghostbusters, X-Men? Why didn't women go support strong women? Because they don't want to see women in these roles. It does nothing for them. They want to see romance. It can be romantic comedy or romantic drama, but romance, they're just wired that way. Very few people want to see the male and female roles mixed up. It just seems like silly Hollywood propaganda from the mind of a Weinstein degenerate. Like, at this point, everybody knows what is up with Hollywood. It's getting creepy with that group. Anyway, you saw the herd of females, the type of female stuff that sells. Just look at what is in Hollywood. Gal Gadot, Scarlett Johansson, even Brie Larson, as much as people hate her. Skinny chicks who exercise a lot and are in phenomenal shape. But they're like in shape they can do, 50 push-ups, not bench press a truck. But none of them look like Teela. That tells you the limits of what is acceptable. They don't use Gail Simone or powerlifters for a reason. It doesn't sell. But in comics or cartoons, they can play around a bit more because the initial cost is less, though I'm sure the cost for this was pretty high. But Teela was just ridiculous. Nobody wants to see that. People will watch the show because they already paid for Netflix. But if the show was a hit, they'd be selling toys and t-shirts and collectible garbage made by slaves in China to briefly remove some of the black hole of nihilism that is your life. I doubt that plastic landfill type of toys are going to sell. That is Gal Gadot. I know it's pronounced Gadot, but that's so stupid. In one of the Wonder Womans. The first one, I think that was an overrated film. It was an okay film. Anyway, so she was, 5'9", 5'10". I don't know what she was when she was a model. Very, very, models are lean. Okay, she worked out a little bit. She ate some protein a little bit. But this is her in Wonder Woman. And there's a scene in the first one where she's lifting up a tank. And you're like, dude, this is just, like, you couldn't have found a chick who's, like, a little bit, I don't know. I know she's getting the power of the magic and whatnot. It's like whatever, but there's got to be a little bit of verisimilitude to it. But anyway, then the opposite end of that spectrum is Teela, and you get Teela like, oh god, nobody wants to look like that. That's people. The women looked at Wonder Woman and were very, very impressed with, you know, a model, essentially a model with like 15 pounds more muscle running around. They like that, and it sold because they like that, and it wasn't insanely woke. If I remember, it's like just give people what sells. If you give people what doesn't sell, then it won't sell. Anyway, join the channel. You can join the channel. You can go to Odysee, BitChute, or Discord. Though I would avoid the Discord if I were you. All right, guys, I'll see you next episode.